Hello everyone, I'm the Godless engineer. If you can't tell, I am most definitely sick as fuck. But I'm trying to keep up with a video post every single day, so what I'm trying to do here is just a really quick response and reaction to some comments made by this Senator David Vitter. Now, years ago, he was in a sex scandal with his escort mistress where they had a love child, but he pressured her to get an abortion. Now, of course, he's saying that gay marriage is killing the sanctity of marriage. I don't know there, buddy. I mean, it kind of feels like, having a mistress and getting her pregnant and then telling her to abort the baby and you stand on this whole Christian platform. I think that is kind of destroying whatever sanctity of marriage you think exists. But more to the point, let's see what he has to say, because I know he goes on to say that Christians are being persecuted.
The founders were virtually all men and women of faith, and they brought their faith to bear in the public square.
That's not technically true. There are a lot of deists. I mean, so that's kind of like a really broad definition of religious that you're talking about there, or belief in God. Because, I mean, they didn't necessarily believe in your God. Heck, I mean, even the Christians that existed around the time didn't believe in the same God that you believe in, unless you're, like, purely fundamentalist, like, let's go back to the Greek and do everything literally by that. Unless you're that kind of Christian, then there's no way any percentage of what the founding fathers thought about God is, like, even if that's assuming that they were Christian, and they employed the Christian faith, it's not going to be the God that you think it is. Like, it's not the teachings that you think it is. I mean, they fucking had slaves. You don't think it's right to have slaves? Well, fuck, you might.
And the separation of church and state meant we're not going to have a state religion. We're not going to impose certain views and a certain religion on anyone.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm glad that he has a good understanding of the First Amendment. I mean, he seems to be well-read on the Constitution. He seems to understand what the First Amendment means completely, that, the state isn't going to set up a state religion or a countrywide religion. And obviously, I don't know, he might be leaving out here that religion doesn't have the ability to affect the state, well, let's let him explain his position.
It didn't mean that somehow you were disallowed to bring your faith to the public square.
No, not technically. It's really sad that you're a senator and you don't know how the First Amendment should read or should be interpreted, but yet me, a lowly software engineer, on YouTube, knows exactly how to read it and has verified it through other sources that know way more than me. But to say that you can't, I guess on a personal level, he might be right, but he's being really disingenuous, and kind of presenting a straw man almost, because he's saying that, the First Amendment doesn't mean that you can't bring your religious beliefs to your position. You can bring your religious beliefs to your position, but you can't base laws on a religion, on a specific religion. Like, you can't make laws on a specific religion. So, I mean, if you're going to stand up and say, no, gay marriage is wrong and it's destroying our communities and whatnot, then you need to show some hard evidence for that. You don't need to just say, well, God said to kill them, so I guess we got to kill them.
That's the battle going on again today. We talked about this battle over religious freedom, particularly in the wake of the U.S. Supreme Court decision on gay marriage.
Oh, yes, all of this persecution. I mean, that's what that amounts to. What he just said is all this persecution on the Christians, this freedom of religion. I mean, you're not free to practice your religion however you want to, even if that means enacting policies that are based directly on a religion, which even by your own definition of the First Amendment, it would prohibit that. But you know what? Fuck me, who am I?
The left in America is trying to push people of faith out of the public square. Say, oh, you can pray in church, you can pray at home, you can pray in a closet, but don't, for goodness sake, put that on display in public in any way, shape, or form. And In some cases, that's leading to demands that others' views, for instance, on gay marriage, be shoved down the throats of folks who have sincerely held religious views that marriage is between one man and one woman.
But you see, that's where you go wrong, is right there, is that you have sincerely held religious beliefs that say it's one man, one woman. Sincerely held religious beliefs does not account for the entire nation. I mean, even by your own, even by what you said earlier about how to interpret the First Amendment, I mean, it would nullify your argument here. I really can't believe that you're doing this all in one sitting. Like, normally I expect this to happen across a couple videos, but no, this guy, he's going all balls out, and he's interpreting it in a way that invalidates his own argument later on in the video, like within seconds of each other, and it's just amazing to see one of these in the wild. Even by your own definition here, Vitter, you wouldn't be able to employ these laws that you want to make just because you have a deeply held religious belief. You have to have some kind of facts outside of religion to back them up. Like, if you want to say that gay marriage is detrimental to society, to the family, and whatnot, well, okay, I'll listen to you. Bring in your evidence. If you just slam a Bible down on my desk, I'm going to tell you to get the fuck out. And your comment here about prayer, it's not that we don't want you to pray at all. Of course, you specified, like, you can pray in your homes and everywhere else. We're saying that you can't pray using public funds. I mean, like, you can't, honestly, I don't think that we should be able to give, like, religious invocations at city council meetings. I don't think that there should be invocations. I don't see the need for it. I mean, I understand that it's ritualistic and whatnot, but still, I don't see the fucking need for it. Now, to say that we're pushing out anybody of faith from the government, that's not true. We're pushing out people that seek to push their faith on the common population, on the general population of America. They want to make laws that, in fact, make this country a theocracy. That's what we don't want. That's what we don't need. And we are pushing against you. You see that as persecution, or you see that as compromising your religious freedom. You can believe in whatever the fuck you want to. You can believe the devil came down, did a tap dance on a dead baby, pissed in its mouth, and then went back up to heaven and straight back down to hell with Jesus right on his ass. You can believe that all you want to, but if you try to push that in schools, like saying, yep, this actually happened just the other day, I got a picture of it, you see this smudge? That's not going to fly. That doesn't deserve to be in school. That doesn't deserve to be taught to the general population. You want to start your own Satan falling down to hell with Jesus in his ass religion? Go right ahead. But don't try to push that shit on my kid as well as other people's kid who may not subscribe to the same kind of God as you.
So my faith has always informed my life. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean I haven't sinned. I have, and I've fallen in substantial ways.
Oh, you mean like having a mistress and then having a love child and then telling that mistress to abort the baby because it would be very embarrassing to you. I guess that's the kind of folly, that's the kind of sin that you're talking about here, but then you're gonna go and judge gay people and say, no, that's not right. That's destroying marriage right there. I think David Vitter's destroying marriage.
But my faith was there when my family offered forgiveness. My faith was there when they offered love. My faith is built around the story of redemption. That's the central tenet of my faith, as it is, I think, of yours.
Now, I do agree that something like that does need to be forgiven at some point. I think that something, well, maybe not of the mistress if she did indeed abort the baby. I mean, if you forced her to abort the baby, that's just fucking wrong. I don't think that she should forgive you because you were a dickbag. It doesn't matter how wrong you realize it is now. You were a dickbag then. You don't deserve to be forgiven for that kind of shit. But as far as the other stuff goes, I mean, I think that it can be something that is forgiven. Now, like rape, I don't think the victim should ever forgive their rapist. Because that, again, is a dickbag thing to do, and you shouldn't be forgiven of it. You shouldn't be given that kind of leniency. I realize that a lot of victims of it like to forgive their person for their own personal reasons, and I wholly support that. I support anybody that chooses to move past it in that way. I mean, if that's what you got to do in order to be right, that's fine. I'm not going to forgive them, though. If somebody raped my son, or if I have a daughter later in life, if someone raped my daughter, there's definitely no way I'm going to forgive them. I mean, you're lucky I don't kill them, basically. So then Vitter, he goes on to talk about how Christians are persecuted in this country, how they're second-class citizens now. Let's just see what kind of bullshit he's slinging.
Make no mistake about it, this is the growing battle, particularly in the wake of the recent Supreme Court decision with regard to gay marriage. That decision will clearly unleash all sorts of assaults against conservative Christian believers who believe that marriage is between one man and one woman. And
okay, good spiel there. It doesn't matter in a legal setting. You can have all the religious beliefs that you want to, but it shouldn't matter to the couple down the street that wants to get married and has clearly no effect on you.
Make no mistake about it, those assaults are coming on churches and pastors and believers.
And you see, here's the fear-mongering at work. What he's doing is he's creating a persecution complex even before it begins. He's saying that, oh, it's coming, this persecution is coming, they're gonna silence you in churches and everything. I don't think so. I mean, there have been people that have preached against homosexuality in churches and not had restraining orders levied against them or been told in a legal basis to stop all their actions. It's when you start to, it's when you start to suggest that a certain candidate should be president. Like, you should vote for these people. That's that's being in the pulpit and you're supporting that particular public servant from a church. And the way that we have our stuff set up, like our nonprofit stuff set up, you can't do that. And so that's the problem. And what you want to be able to do is to be able to preach all you want to from the pulpit, do anything you want, and the government just completely stays out of it. But don't worry, we can still influence the government because I'm telling you who to vote for because they're in line with our biblical values. That's wrong. So,
who are trying to live their faith in a quiet but important way, including in terms of how they choose to live their lives and run their businesses. Again, that's why when I was putting together our plan for this campaign, that's why I specifically wanted a whole chapter on protecting life and religious freedom, because that's the battle of today. That is front and center.
Oh, yes, you gotta protect that religious freedom. It's not like Walmart doesn't carry, Jesus candles or religiously themed things. It's not like every other private company carries religiously themed things of a Christian nature. Yeah, you're persecuted, buddy. Meanwhile, I've got to go to kind of obscure websites in order to get cool secular material, which, by the way, Be Secular is linked down below. It's my own page. Check that secular shirt and stuff out. But, it's just... You can push this narrative of Christians are persecuted all you want to, but the pure and simple fact is that you're only brainwashing those that will actually care to listen to you, and even those people aren't able to be reached.
It's a shame that it is 10 years ago. I'm not sure I would have predicted these religious freedom issues would be so much under siege.
Yeah, because, I mean, who doesn't want to have a mistress and then tell her to abort? I mean, these are religious freedoms. I mean, we just need to enact these policies now. Everybody in the Senate needs to have a goddamn mistress, get her pregnant, and tell her to get an abortion. That's my religious freedom. I want everybody to fucking do it right now.
But they are. And so I strongly support that sort of legislation. Again, in stark contrast to my position, and my speaking out in favor of that. My opponent in this race, John Bell Edwards, fought and helped kill Mike Johnson's legislation in the legislature this past session. He moved to table the bill, to kill it, and successfully led the effort to kill it. So again, on this, as on many issues, the contrast really couldn't be clearer.
Okay, so a non-Christian or a Christian that's not a D-bag like you decided to stop people from making a really stupid decision in our government. Way to go, other guy.
Well, I'd like to ask a follow-up on that. Representative Johnson's bill protected citizens from adverse action by the state, by the government. Would you favor expanding those protections to protect Christian businessmen and people of faith, the Christian baker, the Christian wedding photographer, the Christian florist, from civil lawsuits regarding their exercising their faith in their business?
Let me just, I'm going to let him finish real quick. But before he starts, I want to answer your question there, sir. If you want those kind of policies in action, how about you get in a TARDIS, go back to the 1950s, because guess what? You sound like a racist fucking bigot, and you deserve to be in the 1960s. Continue.
Yes, I would. I mean, our country
And there's another bigot that deserves to be in the 1950s.
is built on the tradition of freedom of religious views and expression and
Yeah, but we're not saying that you can't fucking have those views. We're saying that you can't discriminate against people using those views. Like, just like you can't discriminate against people that are black or Latino or Asian. You can't. I mean, it wouldn't be right for somebody to go into a store and be like, nope, you use a chink, motherfucker. Use a chink. Get the fuck out my store. This is a Waffle House, motherfucker. What do you mean? I mean, that is quite literally the same thing. It'd be like, nope, use a gay homo. You get out of here. I'm not serving you. Use a gay homo. Whether or not a couple is gay or a person is gay has no effect on whether or not they can get money out of their wallets and pay you for food, or pay you for flowers, or pay you for a cake, or pay you for fucking pizza.
tolerance of that. And we have a tradition of accommodating those sincerely held religious beliefs. Unfortunately, there are folks.
We do. I mean, I remember the blue laws being in effect, but those were ruled unconstitutional because they were friggin' discriminatory as fuck. But I would love to know what laws we've enacted to protect religious freedom on this scale, like on the scale of the absurd, because it is fucking absurd.
A lot of folks on the left in America now who want to fundamentally change that tradition and not provide for any reasonable accommodations of that at all.
No, actually, what's happening right now is that the Christian right are losing their footing in the government. They got their footing in the 1950s when they inserted all of their propaganda into our government. They've had a stronghold in it for several decades, and now they're starting to lose footing, and it's scary for them. And, that's fine. You can be scared all you want to, but, I mean, at least come in with better arguments than this shitty, fallacy-filled fuckfest.
They want to make believers like us second-class citizens. They want to completely push us out of the public square, and in some cases, persecute folks who simply want to live their faith in terms of how they do business and other things.
They want to make us second-class citizens, sir. I mean, I can't even tell the bellboy to get his black ass and get my luggage and carry him up there. Oh my God. And you know what? That little chink fella down at the restaurant, I can't even tell him, hey, Chinky, get me a sandwich, Chinky. My wife is pregnant and on the couch. I need a sandwich, Chinky. You just sound racist as fuck. It's all you sound like, dude. And that's all that I'm going to label you as, is deserving of living in the 1950s. If that's where you want to live in, fucking get a TARDIS, go live in it. I don't want your shitty ideology here. I don't want your ideology pushed in government. I don't want your shitty beliefs to be forced on me and my family. Thank you for joining me today on this kind of short video where I respond to this guy. If you will, go down below, like, comment, and subscribe.